Good afternoon, viewers, and welcome back to another episode of Generation C. My name is Etumwene Shikait, and I'm your host for today. Well, Generation C is fun and filled with so many different things that we can learn from. There are three important segments that we incorporate into this show. The first is Generation C, followed by Varsity Chat Room, and of course, School Corner. Please stay tuned for the following ad on Camera Day. Throughout the Generation C segment, we do go through our zone publication. It comes out in the Namibian Sun, the Republican, and the Algemeine Zeitung weekly on a Tuesday. Well, we're here to remind you about exactly what is the best buy on a Tuesday. On page 1, we have a profile of Aurora Closet, and she shares with us her journey of entrepreneurship. On page 2, we have our Vox, and these are some of the learners. They share some of the experiences and some of the highlights that they really get irritated by COVID regulations. On page 3, we have a workshop for safeguarding children in sports and early childhood development centers to help curb the COVID-19 pandemic. On page 4 and 5, we do have a spread dealing with living in the closet. This focuses on Pride Month, which is the June month, and we take a look at some of the challenges that some of the members of the LGBTQ community are involved in. On page 6, that is of course our sports news, and we do take a look at Sport Club catering to the youth and also Namibian events in Brazil. So please do get yourself a copy to read more about that. On page 7, we do have the Star Teacher of the Week, and she shares her journey of how it has been being a teacher in this challenging times. In page 8, we do have varsity news, that is from NUST, where we learn about the recent graduation that took place, and we do know that this was a virtual graduation, and we also learn about the important aspects of having it in this specific way for this year. That is all the news that we have for you in the Zone publication for this week. Please do stay tuned for the following segment, that is Varsity Chat Room. Welcome back, viewers. This is of course the Varsity Chat Room segment. We bring you all things varsity, tertiary views, and of course the great news of your local universities. My name is Etumwene Shikait, and today we're joined by Dana Matiba. She is a recent NUST graduate. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you so much, Redu.
I'm so excited. I'm actually inspired already. Before we even get into this interview, because you know who I'm seated with.
My name is Talia Nankinda. As already said, I'm a recent NUST graduate. I graduated as Bachelor of English. Yes.
How long was your course? Do you feel like it was... when people graduate, does this say that they usually continue saying, no, it feels like I just started yesterday, it feels like I was just, no,
it's true. My course was 3 years.
Okay.
Obviously in the process you feel like, wow, will I really get to the finish line?
Yeah.
But now that you're here, you're like, wow, it feels like it was just yesterday. Right. Yeah.
What inspired you to study the Bachelor of English?
My love for English,
Okay.
I've always loved English. So I thought to myself, how about I pursue this to university and gain more knowledge on it.
Okay.
And I think another thing is my passion for English. So it's like, how about I really do something that I'm passionate about, because passion is everything. And I think also the fact that it's a broad course, you know, it does not just limit you to one career option. That's why you will find Bachelor of English graduates, some are journalists, some are communication officers, teachers, lecturers, so it's broad, and that's what I love about it.
Okay, I'm so happy for you once again. So, how did it feel to graduate during this era? You see, it's COVID times, and we see how this has impacted us differently. Now we had to have like a virtual graduation. I'm guessing you wanted to walk down the stage.
It's heartbreaking. It's sad. It's every student's dream to see yourself at Safari in that gown and your name being called on stage and walking on stage, But unfortunately, we could not have that, and it's sad that we could not live that memorable day. But let's look at the bright side. We still made it. We got our degrees, and it's now time to go out there and.
I'm glad you jumped the gun for me right there. I'd like to hear, what are your plans then now that you've made it, now that you graduated? It sounds so nice, sounds so icy, you know what I'm saying? But what are your plans then? What are you plan on doing right after you've graduated, or what are you venturing into now?
I think right now I'm just going out there and looking for a job. And also as well currently doing my honors, so it's also keeping me busy. So yes, definitely just securing a job and gaining more skills and more knowledge on my course, and putting what I learned in school into practice.
What advice would you give to somebody who would strive to graduate one day as you just did, or in the same course or field that you've studied?
Be optimistic. I think that's one of the most important quality you have to have. Don't give up. The road might get bumpy, for real, but you have to keep going. If other people did it, if I did it, why can't you do it as well? So just keep going.
Such an inspiration right there, guys. I hope you guys learned so much information from Dalia today. And I also hope that we make it. We're supposed to be making it.
Of
That's
course.
exactly what you're going to do. Congratulations, Dalia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being and staying with us. Well, guys, we'll head on to our school news segment right after this. Viewers, welcome back to the school news segment. In this segment, we do bring you school news from all around the country and also some of the local news that we bring you from local schools. Well, this week we have a video submitted from Hambeleleni Kamati all the way from International School of Walfish Bay. Please stay tuned.
Their mission to make the schools less crowded. Keeping the grade 10s to AS level in school though is a good idea because their syllabuses have a lot of content that takes a longer time to complete and could become overwhelming and challenging, especially for the newly introduced AS level. However, I do have concerns regarding the virus and the overly increasing cases that rise every single day. Not to forget the deaths, but e-learning is really not effective and it cannot be a suggestion at this point because not everybody has access to it, and not being physically in contact with a teacher is really hard because you don't always understand everything that a teacher could interpret and break down to you in a classroom environment. Overall, the new regulations are okay and they can be effective if we all work together, but I'm not so sure about the grade 8s and 9s staying at home during those times when they just newly got introduced to the high school curriculum. Good day everybody, my name is Hambeleleni Kamati and I am the editor of So International School newspaper as well as an AS level student at the International School of Warfish. Regarding the new COVID regulations put out by the Ministry of Education, I believe it's doing its best to keep the situation somehow under control as cases keep rising every day, and it's really concerning and alarming. Keeping the primary schools locked in the meantime though is a good idea because the situation is much uncontrollable on that side, because they are kids and they are not the easiest to follow all the COVID protocols. However, I'm not so sure if the grade 8s and 9s should go along with the other primary schools because they newly just got introduced to the high school environment, and the curriculum could be really challenging for a newbie. And the fact that they are going to be away from school without assessment could be concerning, but I guess the ministry is making it their mission to make the schools less crowded. Keeping the grade 10s to AS level in school though is a good idea.
Viewers, we've come to the end of this amazing Generation C episode. We hope to see you again next week. If you do have any newsworthy content, please do send it to all our social media platforms, that is on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. You can send me an email on watumolo@myview.com.na. We'll see you guys again next week.